am Magnus Walker, and I've been obsessed with Porsches for the past 45 years. I've built, collected, driven, raced and restored quite a lot of P cars in my time. But this show is all about other people's Porsches. So take a ride along with me as I find out all there is to know about OPP. Today I'm down in Miami to drive JC's DP Slantnose 930 Turbo. It's amazing how this car's like 40 years old but still gets attention.
Oh yeah.
It's like a Countach, you know.
You had lunch today?
No.
Get something.
Give me a Spanish lesson here.
Yeah.
Mira. Some Spanish and mushrooms.
People wake up here and they just like on a mission to make money to survive.
I drive that little Ford Fiesta.
Oh, cool.
My boyfriend works for you all the time.
People have been modifying Porsches since day one, all the way back in 1948. But perhaps one of the most recognizable Porsche shapes of all time, the 935 Slantnose, was designed by a man whose name many don't recognize, Eckhard Zimmermann and DP Motorsport, the man responsible for the notorious 1979 Le Mans winning Kramer K3 935. All right, mate, so what is it, 82 DP Slantnose?
82 DP slant nose.
Why'd you buy it?
Well, a friend of mine, Jose Esteves, he's a very good turbo mechanic. He had the connection with the past owner. When I was young, everybody that wanted not a regular Porsche or a turbo would go for a DP or a Kramer. It was pretty much before Roof, before obviously Singer, before all these other brands of custom 911s. These were the people. These were the bad boys of the industry.
The bad boys, the OG outlaws.
Yep.
The big in the 80s. I mean, nothing to me screams more Miami than a Slantnose Turbo. So this started life as an 82, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know when it was converted?
I really don't know. I have a lot of paperwork for it. I really never gotten into it. This was bought new by Pete Rose.
Pete Rose?
Yeah. Pete Rose is signed by Pete Rose. I have the copy of the title and all that stuff.
Did Pete Rose do the conversion?
I have no idea. I think, from what I understand, Pete Rose and Mario Andretti had some partnership on a race team.
Okay. So tell me about Pete Rose.
Well, when I was a kid in grade school, I mean, one of the most famous posters was Pete Rose, like head first into second base, stealing the base or whatever, and then he'd be like 3 feet off the air like Superman, like
Flying.
that. So that's his famous pose.
Is he a hero of yours?
Not particularly, but it was just very impressive.
Okay.
And he was, you know, I was into baseball back then, and I played baseball, but it was just a nice perk to the car. It wasn't that wasn't the reason why I bought the car. I think they're extremely special, undervalued cars, even though they're not cheap. Anyone that really wanted to be set apart had, tried to have a DP conversion car.
So when exclusive wasn't special enough, what I find is interesting is DP was the body team to Kramer, the Kramer brothers, that actually had success at Le Mans with their Slantnose wide-body turbo, and actually issued that to the public 3 or 4 years before Porsche even offered a Slantnose conversion in 82 through their special wishes department. So I think you are correct saying that these are very unique cars. This started life as an 82. Tell me what you know that's been done to it from the drivetrain, motor, transmission.
It's got bigger brakes. It's got some suspension work, springs and sway bars.
Tell me about the motor, because it seems punchier. The turbo seems to spool up and come on quicker.
I think it's got a K29.
Okay.
It's got a bigger intercooler. I'm not sure about the cam. I'm not sure about headwork. It does feel faster than some of the other turbos I've had.
Yeah, from the seat of the pants compared to a 3.3 4-speed stock, it really feels punchier. And the other thing that surprised me about it was how docile it is to drive in Miami's hot, tedious, slow-moving traffic, this thing never ever got hot, which really surprised me.
They had extra coolers. I guess they had different levels of modifications. They always, pretty much always brought that 935 style
Yeah, boost control.
boost control. And
How much boost does this push?
It's doing like 1.2 bar.
Wow. So conservatively, how much power do you think this has?
I think it's at least upper threes.
Upper threes.
Yeah.
It kind of feels that way because we were able to spin those. I know that it's on old rubber, but that's pretty wide rubber.
Yeah, it breaks the tires, you know, loose in second.
Yeah.
So it's got torque.
I love how aggressive it is. Tell me about the turbo fins that are on it, on the wheels.
To be honest with you, I'm even questioning whether they're functional myself or not. I think it's all based on making it look like the race car.
Okay.
If they are, it would obviously be for downforce purposes to relieve some of the
air pressure and heat
pressure
from the wheel
in there. I would say they are somewhat useful.
Did you put them on the car, or were they on the car? No,
they came on the car.
They came on the car.
And these will only fit a particular model of BBS wheels because it has to attach to the wheel itself.
Got it. You're running a 225 50/15 on the front, and it looks like, what have we got? 345.
345.
345. Yeah.
They're very chunky tires.
You got a bunch of meat here. Is it hard to get these P0s?
They're on back order now, but they still produce them.
Okay. And then I love the long extended, comes out way further, the DP ribbed, long whale tail.
For more downforce.
Rear downforce.
The wider body before RWB.
Yeah.
You know,
these guys were ahead
this
of
is
the
the
game.
original really wide body car.
The original bad boy way before the bad boys. Is this the original color?
Original color, yes.
Color?
Yes.
But you added the stripes, right?
I added the stripes.
Now tell me what it is that you love about the car, why you like driving it, really why you bought it.
Well, you know, a 911 drive is always a special drive. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a solid car. It's got great steering feel, excellent brakes, very good feel on the brakes. As with all older 911s, you know, the transmission and the shifter is always a little sloppy by today's standards.
Little vague, little loose.
But it's a car that'll, you know, surprise you, and it's a lot quicker than you would imagine because they're fairly light cars.
Right. It's interesting because the car turns heads in Miami, where in Miami driving around, you see exotic cars, hypercars, supercars. This car's 40 years old, but having driven it the past 2 days, it's amazing how much attention it gets. How do you feel when you drive the car? How does it make you feel?
Well, I think the car's got a great balance and it's still very drivable even in traffic. It's not an annoying drive. It's a very solid drive. There's no squeaks, no rattles inside, so that's always a good thing.
It's easy to operate. The clutch is not super heavy.
And the suspension is acceptable. It doesn't have a rough suspension.
Right, but it is pretty stiff.
Yeah.
And it corners really nice and flat.
It does corner really flat.
This was the poster car on the wall. I say anyone growing up anywhere in that time period, you either had a wide-nose turbo on your poster on your wall, or possibly a Lamborghini Countach or a Ferrari 512 Boxer. But for me, 40 years later, this is still an iconic car that's a real joy and pleasure to drive. So anything else you want to share about the car?
Well, you know, I really, you know, it's not because I have one, I actually have two, but it's not because...
One wasn't enough? One wasn't enough?
One wasn't enough. But I do think they're extremely underappreciated. They just haven't been exposed enough or talked about enough, but they're extremely rare. They're obviously much rarer than a regular 911 turbo or 930. Only the elite would have them because the conversion was extremely expensive. It has a race pedigree, and it's got, you know, a good connection with the actual racing program. So I think it's a very significant car that it's not understood because maybe there's so few of them and nobody's really covered them enough. Me even having two, I don't know the whole story of them and stuff, how many were made, etc. They're still around and they offer some support, but I think it's a very special drive and at least as good as a regular turbo, probably better because they're going to be faster and handle better.
Better than a regular turbo.
Yes.
I think in a way, the very first Porsche I ever bought was a 74 slant nose conversion. I bought it at the Pomona swap meet 30 years ago. And I love the slant nose look. To me, it's aggressive, standing still. But I think they fall into this category of the Miami Vice syndrome, where you either love them or you hate them. And I think to some people, it's kind of like bad 80s styling that's gone out of fashion. Not to me, but that's how some people see and view a slant nose. But I think you are right. I think they're really coming into their own. I think 80s fashion's coming back. And to me, there's nothing more iconic than 80s fashion than a slant nose turbo, especially a DP Kramer one. And this looks awesome in this color scheme. Little subdued, but real classy, real elegant, with these three-tone shades of gold, gray, copper. Really, bronze worked really, really well. I think we've got to go for another drive. Formed out of a dream and driven by passion and determination, Eckhard Zimmermann formed DP, Design und Plastik Motorsports in 1973 in a small garage near Cologne in his spare time whilst working for Ford, and 50 years later his designs still cause attention and people to turn their heads. Success on the racetracks in the 70s put DP on the map, but it was the side of the cars on the road that made the name legendary. And sure, they beat Porsche to the punch by offering their 935 slant nose silhouette on a road car first, but to me, it's always been about the extreme no-holds-barred styling that separated them from all the builders and tuners that came later. The performance of the car on the street, backed up by the aggressive race styling, was what separated DP from the Miami Vice look-at-me era of cars in a money's-no-object flashy time period of the 80s. It was the quality of the build and the attention to detail, though, that have transported the cars beyond a fashion statement that came back into vogue many years later and into an iconic car for the future, one that still turns heads and makes the heart beat faster. This is what every car should do, one that makes you wake up early to go drive it and forces you to look over your shoulder for one last look as you walk away from it. The DP Slantnose is this car.